Have you ever looked at the phone when it was ringing and thought to yourself, I would rather die? Then you have phone anxiety, as a lot of the younger generation does. The article at the end talks about this, but I'm going to kind of bring it to the beginning. Because a long time ago, people used to just show up at your house. I can't imagine how terrible that must have been. If someone just shows up at my house, there's a good chance I'm going to hide and pretend I'm not there. Period. Even if they saw me, I would still hide and pretend like I'm not there.
Pretend to faint or something.
I'm dead. Don't call the police though. It would be absolutely terrible. So when phones started to get a little bit more normalized in people's houses, people started to call before visiting. Think, hey, can I come over? It's just like a courtesy, and that extended to calling before coming over in the phone. Now text messages have come out, and people are starting to say it is now common courtesy to text before making a phone call, or before showing up at the house, I'm sure. But texting has become the new courteous way of communicating before other ways of communicating digitally. This has been in tune with the younger generation's hatred of calling. For some reason, people who are in the sort of maybe middle to younger Gen X area, all the way to the newest generation, are really against calling. It is considered a form of torture, punishment, stress, and if they have a job that they have to call at, well, that's just their job. But in their everyday life, they really want to limit that. Texting has become the main form of communication outside of actually meeting. So basically, there's been a set of rules that have come up from this, that if you are going to call someone, especially without a text, you are in an emergency situation and it needs to be done now. And if the person on the other line just wants to talk about something frivolous, then you're going to be maybe relieved that they're not dying, but also super irritated that they're not dying, if that makes sense. And also, I do want to put this, it was not in the article, but it should be. If you are texting someone and says, hey, I need to call you, you are going to cause a super amount of anxiety. Put the reason in there. Be like, hey, can I call you about something? It's just a real quick conversation about my dog, something blah, blah, blah. No emergency, everything's fine. Just want to have a nice quick chat with you over the phone. It's too long to say over text, whatever. That will help reduce the stress. And I do definitely recommend that. But yeah, this article is basically what is on the packaging. It is about texting being the better form of communication. And those who don't quite have those wires connected yet are causing a lot of anxiety to people who prefer texting. Yes. Now, we already know this. So the question of, do you usually communicate with friends and family over text or calling? We know it's over text, right?
Well, I predicted they've kind of asked the same question twice here.
Yeah.
So I've already thought of another expression I could put in here. So
good.
When I was young, I used to think that this, when mobile phones came out, that it was just a British thing, this whole preferring to text rather than call. Because when I'd watch American TV shows, the American kids on the TV shows were always chatting on their mobile phone, annoying their parents, running up these enormous bills, and So I thought, it's just the British. So I've actually been strangely relieved to discover it's not just us, it's not just a certain culture or whatever, it's actually a lot of people all over the world who get this phone anxiety. So I'm very lucky that my friends and family also feel very similar. So I think, as you mentioned, if we're hoping for a chat, we will message first and also mention some of the reasons, like nothing to get stressed about. It's not an emergency. Let's just plan a time to have a call and a catch up, and that I can cope with. Then I've got time to prepare myself mentally. Be in a calm, quiet place for the call. There's a lot of things I like to prepare if I'm going to have to talk on the phone, and then I feel much better.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of leads us into the next question a little bit. And I'm going to change it up a bit because I think we've answered it a little bit here already. But would you consider it actually now rude to call before texting? And would it be a case-by-case basis, or is it just rude for anyone? do the old people need to just catch on already?
Well, again, if you know the person pretty well and you know their habits and they're the kind of person that likes a chat or, just regularly pick calls without asking, then I think that's more understandable. But for strangers to just call without asking first, that feels more like, is it an emergency? Have I done something wrong? All the fears of what this might be about run through your mind. So I think it depends on the relationship you have with that person and what you think that they're going to want to talk to you about. Like if it's your boss, I dread those moments. Like it hasn't happened too often, but sometimes you get even the message from your boss, we need to talk.
Oh gosh.
And the first thing you think is,
I'm fired.
oh no, what have I done wrong? Am I going to get fired? Yeah. It's never been that. Look, I'm still here in this job after 10 years. Who knew? But I've still panicked like that before. So yeah.
Like, oh, we had really good feedback this month. You're like, why didn't you just say that?
Yeah.
It's really annoying, yeah. Now, do you think there's any circumstances where calling before texting is okay?
Yeah, if it's an emergency. If it genuinely is something, it can't wait, you just have to do it right now, do it right away.
Absolutely. I remember one time where it was the beginning of my relationship, and my girlfriend likes to call, like the only one in the world. And she called me, and I was like, oh crap, terrible situation must happen, what's going on? And I answered like scared, and like, what's going on, what's wrong? And she was like, why are you so scared? And almost like got offended that I like responded like that. I was like, because you called me. You called me and you didn't text me.
It must be an emergency.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Don't do it again. Thank you. Yeah, it is like that.
Well, sometimes you got to find that balance, and that now she knows you better, you know her better.
Correct.
Synced up your communication.
Yeah. But that anxiety never leaves me, no matter how much I know the culture. All right, well, go ahead and check out the vocabulary down below. Use them in your next phone call, but make sure it's okay before you call. Through text or even verbal communication. Be like, hey, I'm going to call you later today around 4 p.m. Is that okay? That's all right, too. Just need confirmation. Don't be rude. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Precursor.
Precursor.
Steal.
Steal.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
Post haste.
Post haste.
Trivial.
Trivial.